Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to talk about sarcasm. Do you find it funny? Or do you find it uncomfortable, exhausting, or even hurtful? This is something I have been reflecting on from my own personal experience. Recently, I was on a dating app and I noticed something interesting. Many men describe themselves as I am sarcastic. Or they will say, you need to understand my sarcasm, almost as if sarcasm is a personality trait or sign of intelligence. And honestly, I used to be that person, so I understand. I understand why people think it's funny. I understand why many families communicate that way. And I understand why so many of us grow up believing that's normal. But as I've gotten older, studied relationships, communication, healing, and emotional maturity, my perspective has changed. So today, in my experience, sarcasm is often a less mature way to communicating difficult emotions, especially in intimate relationships. Many people use sarcasm not because they are bad people, but because it feels safer than saying, I am hurt, I'm disappointed, I am frustrated, or I need something from you. Sarcasm can become a mask, a way to communicate pain without appearing vulnerable. And that's what I wanted to explore today from psychology, from relationship science, and from a spiritual perspective as well. To be fair, many people genuinely enjoy sarcasm. There are reasons for that. First, there is a surprise. That literal meaning is different from the intended meaning, and that unexpected twist creates humor. Second, sarcasm can create social bonding. It can make people feel like insiders, like they share a special understanding. Third, it can become emotional release. Instead of saying, I am angry, people joke. Instead of saying, I am hurt, people mock. And sometimes sarcasm becomes a socially acceptable way to express feelings that people don't know how to communicate directly. But here's a question. Is it actually healthy or is it simply familiar? Those are two different things. Not everyone enjoys sarcasm. Some people value sincerity. Some value emotional honesty. Some people are highly sensitive to energy and emotional undertones. They feel what's underneath the words. So even if everybody else is laughing, something inside says, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel true. And if sarcasm was used in their childhood to mock, criticize, exclude, or belittle them, their nervous system may not register it as humor at all. It may register as danger or disrespect or emotional distance. Now, let's talk about one of the world's leading relationship researchers, Dr. John and Julie Gutman. They developed what is called the Gutman method. Through decades of research, Dr. Gutman identified what he called the four horsemen of apocalypse. These are four communication patterns that predict divorce and relationship breakdown with over 90% accuracy, and have a 30% of a higher chance of getting physically sick. The four horsemen are criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and the most destructive of all, contempt. And here is the important part. Dr. Gutman specifically identifies sarcasm as one of the major expressions of contempt. Think about that. The world leading marriage researchers do not view sarcasm as a harmless humor when used in conflict. They see it as a form of disrespect, a form of superiority, a message that says, I am smarter than you, I am better than you, I am above you. And contempt doesn't just damage relationships, it damages the body. Chronic exposure to criticism and contempt creates severe psychological, physiological stress. The body remains stuck in fight or flight mode. The research shows that hostile relationships can contribute to higher blood pressure, more infections, and weakened immunity, migraines, muscle tension, acid reflux, teeth grinding, metabolic problems, slower healing, and increased cardiovascular risk. In other words, the body keeps score. What happens emotionally eventually becomes physical. So when people say, oh, I'm just sarcastic, that question becomes, is it really harmless? Or is it a communication patterns that slowly damages trust, intimacy, and health? Right? The Dr. Gottman offers an antidote. Instead of sarcasm, use direct emotional communications. The formula is simple. I feel about what and I need. So, for example, instead of saying, oh wow, you left your shoes in the hallway again, amazing, you could say, I feel frustrated about the clutter in the hallway and I need you to please put your shoes away. Or instead of, oh, your day was so much harder than mine, right? You may say, I feel overwhelmed and exhausted and I need your help. That takes courage. That takes vulnerability. That takes maturity because now you aren't hiding behind the clever words. You are speaking the truth. Now, what I'm about to share is my spiritual perspectives on this topic and into the real of spiritual philosophy. And it's a bit of a controversial ideas, but I think it's worth discussing because many people, including myself, find meaning in these concepts. We are fluid beings, right? Because our body is largely composed of water, the fluid. What impact do our thoughts, words, emotions, and relationships have on the internal environment? Now, let me share something from my perspective as someone who has worked with the human body and the lymphatic system for many years. Our bodies are made primarily of fluid. Depending on age and body composition, We are roughly 60 to 70% of water. Our blood is fluid. Our cells contain fluid. And the lymphatic system, which I teach and work with every day, is essentially a fluid transportation and communication system throughout the entire body. The lymphatic system responds to movement, it responds to breathing and stress too. And we know scientifically that chronic emotional stress affects immune function, inflammation, and body's ability to heal. So even without going into spirituality, we already know that our internal environment responds to our emotional environment. The body is listening, the nervous system is listening, the immune system is listening. Everything is connected. From a spiritual perspective, Dr. Masaru Emoto, he was a Japanese researcher. He proposed that words and intentions influence water. And this concept that resonates with many people, including myself. While his work is not accepted as established scientific evidence by mainstream science, I believe that it offers a powerful metaphor about the importance of coherence between our words, emotions, and intentions. In his experiment, the water exposed to words like love, gratitude, appreciation, truth, it forms beautiful crystal like that you see on the screen. Again, whether you see this literally or symbolically, I think that message is profound. Words matter, intentions matter, and energy matters. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's also a spiritual leader and a scientist. He often discusses similar ideas. He frequently references Dr. Emoto's work and suggests that our thoughts and emotions influence our biology and our physical reality. His broader philosophy is that consciousness itself has a creative power, that our inner state shapes our outer experience, and that coherent emotions like gratitude, love, appreciation, joy create a healthier internal environment than emotions rooted in resentment, criticism, or contempt. This brings me back to sarcasm. The sarcasm contains a contradiction that outer words and inner emotions don't always match. The words may sound playful, but underneath, there might be frustration, resentment, mockery, or contempt. If we are fluid beings, if our nervous systems are constantly reading emotional cues, if our bodies respond to stress, tone, and intention, then perhaps communication is about far more than words themselves. Perhaps what truly matters is alignment. When our words, emotions, and intentions match, there is coherence, safety, trust, and healing. But when they don't match, something inside us recognizes as contradiction. And maybe that's why some people never find the sarcasm funny. Not because they lack a sense of humor, but because they are deeply attuned to authenticity. Everything that touches that mind eventually touches the body. Again, this is my personal perspective. I used to use sarcasm quite often, and I understand why people use it. And I understand that many families and the cultures communicate that way. But today, I believe that true mature communication means saying what you actually feel without mockery, without superiority, without hidden resentment. The older I get, the more I value sincerity over cleverness, truth over entertainment. And I think our relationships, our nervous systems, and perhaps even our inner waters become healthier because of it. Okay, final question. Do you find the sarcasm funny or do you prefer authentic communication? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. And as always, if you like this video, please hit like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to learn more about my teachings and want to discover the Ogawa method and transform your approach, please explore our training at theogawamethod.com. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.